Hi guys, welcome to today's session, second session actually. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a very special session for you today with a very distinguished speaker. I'm just gonna cut to cut to the chase and introduce our speaker for the day. Our speaker for the day is Engineer Hazem Saeed. The global technical training manager for SPC projects product line at Baker Hughes. Engineer Hazem holds a bachelor's degree in petroleum engineering from Suez Canal University. He has 17 years of experience in oil and gas industry with significant expertise in all aspects of surface pressure control equipment. He has extensive business and operation management expertise from wing to wing in Wellhead product line. He started his career as a field service engineering, covered more than 10 countries in North Africa, Middle East, and Turkey. Then he progressed to supervisor positions and country and operation manager for various countries, including Egypt, Turkey, Libya, and Qatar. Recently, he was leading the field technical and training in Middle East region and leading Wellhead Academy training activities in Baker Hughes Education Center in UAE. Also, he is an active SP member. Throughout his career, he received more than 20 awards and recognition certificates from universities, NGOs, GE Oil and Gas, Baker Hughes countries, and regional leaders. Engineer Hazem, thank you so much for joining us today, and over to you.
Thank you, Nihal. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. Thank you for everyone who was working on this webinar. Appreciate it very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are. Okay. Hopefully, you will be find the session fruitful for you, and you get benefit of it. Okay, what we will discuss today is introduction to surface pressure control wellhead systems. So our agenda for today is as follows. You see it's a big agenda. Hopefully we will catch it in 1 hour or plus. So we will speak about surface wellhead function and design feature and selection. And also we will speak about tubular and well construction. We will speak about conventional and non-conventional wellhead. Wellhead installation. We will go for overview for basic wellhead installation, conventional wellhead. We will go to casing head housing, service tool, casing hanger, and spools and completion and tubing hanger. And we will end it up with production Christmas tree. And there is some data we might go through it if we have enough time, inshallah. So surface pressure, surface wellhead system function and design feature. What is a surface pressure control, or what is a surface wellhead means? Okay, or what is a surface wellhead is look like? We having two main type of wellhead. We having something called surface wellhead, and we having another one called subsea wellhead. So the wellhead is whether it will be on the surface or it will be on the seabed. Okay, like you see here on the left hand side, you will see in this place here, you will find the subsea wellhead. But if the wellhead will be stands here, okay, on shore, or even in some platforms or some other features, okay, this is called surface wellhead. So mainly the one on left hand side, this is a standard standard surface wellhead, and the right hand side you will find Christmas tree or subsea. This is a wellhead, and this is a Christmas tree subsea. What is the function of subsea wellhead? Sorry, of surface wellhead. The function is to suspend the casing and provide a conduit for a surface connection, provide a pressure containing vessel for interface for control and production equipment. Okay, so this is the main function of your wellhead part. This is like a door, okay, for your home. Okay, you will not able to go inside your well, your drilled well, without passing through this wellhead. So it's your door for your home. So this is what we see, or what we know, or what we try to call about surface wellhead. How does this wellhead look like? Okay, the wellhead is feature, okay, having a design feature. You will know this wellhead by its feature. So the main design feature for wellhead, whether it will be flanged wellhead, like the one on the left-hand side, or clamped connection like the one on the right-hand side. Okay, you will find a clamped wellhead part. Okay, or it will be multi-pool, okay, wellhead, which on the right-hand side, or stacked wellhead on the left-hand side. Okay, means that one by one you will find your wellhead. This is the first part, second part, third part, and we install it one by one. The multi-pool means it will be one piece. Whether we will find it's a slip hanger or mandrel hanger. Mandrel hanger usually is the one used into the one used to into the multi-pool wellhead. The slip type is the one used for the stacked wellhead. Even in some troubleshooting, we use this slip type hanger into the multi-pool. We having also welded wellhead and non-welded connection. So there is some connection welded, and the other connection is non-welded connection as well. So you having a stack valve like this one, and we will understand. We will go through what is a stack valve tree and composite block tree like this one. Okay, we will go through it while we go through the slide, inshallah. So after the features, you need to understand one important thing. Okay, wellhead selection, what is based on which basis I need to know, or I need to choose my wellhead, or what is a criteria should I go through to decide wellhead for my company or for a customer or whatsoever. Okay, so the selection based on a lot of aspects here. First, casing program. So the casing program, which is a customer put for, or which is a company put to drill the well, is one of your important data to decide your wellhead selection. What else? Weight and grade of this casing is very important to know while I choose my wellhead. What else? Total length of each casing. So for how long I will drill each section of the well. The bed program, anticipated produced fluid. All of this stuff, or all of these aspects, is very important while I choose my wellhead. What else? Anticipated pour pressure. So you know each zone or each bay zone having, or each number of layers having a certain pour pressure. Okay, so this is also need to be understanding, so you know where is your casing to, and that's why you will know what is the pressure rating for your case, for your wellhead. Is it 3K? Is it 5K? Is it 10K? And so on. What else? My well is producing well, injecting well. So if it's injected well, what type of fluid I will inject? This is very important while I'll choose my wellhead as well. The temperature, where I will install, or how much, what is the temperature of the production which I'll face? Okay, is it where I will put this wellhead? Is it in Alaska? Is it in Mediterranean? Is it in Western Desert, or anywhere? So the temperature is very important aspects to decide also what is the type of wellhead which I'll location. Okay, again, I'll put it on onshore, I'll put it on offshore. Again, if I put it on subsea, this is even different type of wellhead, which we will not cover for this session. Okay, because it's different methodologies as well, and different techniques and terminologies. Anticipate completion program. So we know we have too many different design for completion program per each well. So my well is natural flow, is my well is artificial flow, is my well will be injection. So this items or this aspects is very important to know to decide what is the type of wellhead which I'll use. If I make if I inject the inhibitors, what type of this inhibitors? If I will do acidizing, what type of this acidizing? How is the concentration and so on? So my wellhead is a standstill because it will be long last for a long time period on the well while you are producing. Also, should I might anticipate, will I do my wellhead now for natural flow, then when I do the recovery, I'll install ESP and so on. All of this I need to take on consideration while I put the selection of the wellhead in the preparation. Okay. So what else here I need to understand? We will speak about tubular and well construction. So this is the main three tubular you are using in the oil and gas industry, actually. Okay, but the understanding of these three tubular is very, very important for wellhead industry or for surface wellhead industry. Why? Because it's associated with your wellhead, and your wellhead is connected, whether it's connected with this casing, or you run through this casing, or you seal around this casing. Also, regarding the drill pipe, your running tool will be installed by this drill pipe or retrieved by this drill pipe. So you need to understand what is the weight, grades, and connections which you are dealing with, lenses which you are dealing with. So you anticipate or you put your wellhead in a correct theory from the beginning. Also the production tubing, because one of the most important part in your wellhead will be your tubing hanger, which will produce the flow through the Christmas tree. So this tubing on the right hand side, the blue one, will be connected to one of essential part in your wellhead, wellhead stacks, okay, which is tubing hanger. We will go through it in next slide. So how we are constructed the well. This is, I think, one of the main or the usual schematic or standard schematic which you will find for wellhead construction. It's not a standard, okay, but it's a pretty standard. So usually you are starting your well with conductor casing, which is a driver pipe. Then you will go for the next phase or the next part of your well with the surface casing, okay? And you need to understand this naming: conductor, surface casing, and intermediate casing, and production casing. Okay, why? Because each part of this casing will be attached to one of part of the wellhead. Okay, so surface casing will be connected with a part of wellhead. Intermediate casing will be connected with another part of wellhead. Production casing will be connected with another part of wellhead. And we will see how we are building actually the well through the wellhead through drilling phases, because we do our well on phases, as you know: surface, intermediate, production, and set our casing. In this stage, we are connecting or we are adding our wellhead parts to this kind of casing or these parts of casing. That's why I mentioned it's very important to understand what is the casing you are dealing with, the weight, grades, types, material, all of this stuff, because it's very essential for wellhead part. In wellhead systems, you will hear about something called conventional wellhead and non-conventional wellhead. What is this? What does this means? Conventional wellhead and non-conventional wellhead. This means the conventional wellhead here means it's a basic wellhead like you see on the left-hand side, okay? But it means each part of wellhead will accommodate one casing string, okay? So this part called casing head housing, okay, will accommodate surface casing. This part called casing spool will accommodate intermediate casing. This is tubing head spool will accommodate production casing, and so on. Okay. While in non-conventional wellhead, okay, your wellhead part, okay, on the right hand side, your wellhead part will accommodate 2 or more casing in one power, in one go, like this part. Okay, if you focus here, if we focus here like this, you see this part having 2 casing, having the surface casing and the intermediate casing in one power, in one go, in one shot. Okay, this is to stop manipulating the BOP, so you are not changing your BOP between each stage. And I will explain when we go for overview how this will be look like in the normal wellhead or stacked conventional wellhead, rather than the multi-pool wellhead or the non-conventional wellhead. So this is the main understanding of multi-pool wellhead. There is another names also in wellhead industry or in oil and gas industry. We name this multi-pool. We name it compact wellhead, uretized wellhead, multi-pool, speedhead. All of these names is known as multi-pool wellhead, okay, or non-conventional wellhead. So conventional wellhead consists of these parts. This is the one which is usually or installed in the majority of oil and gas companies. This is the old style. It's started with the beginning of the oil and gas industry, and it still exists in a lot of countries. And it's very suitable for oil well or low cost well, because multi-pool actually is usually expensive wellhead. Okay. So what is the parts of this wellhead? We have encasing head, we have encasing hanger will be inside here, casing spool, this is the second part. Secondary seal, this is internal here in the casing spool. Tubing head spool, which is the last part here on the top. You have here single tubing hanger or dual tubing hanger based on your bay zone, how many bay zone you have. As I mentioned, you need to anticipate the drilling program which we have, and some associated service tool. This is the main parts which we have in conventional wellhead styles, okay, where you have it in everywhere, and it's usually flange to flange, as you see. This parts here called flange to flange, flanged wellhead as well. So now we will go through overview about conventional wellhead and wellhead installation, actually. And we will start with the first part, which is casing head, and this is the name of it. Okay, so where is my casing head will be installed? As you see here, okay, how you are starting your well on the left-hand side. You're starting your well by digging the cellar, okay, the one outside here. And usually your wellhead similar like this. Your main wellhead part will be down the cellar, and the Christmas tree with the ground level, as you see here. Okay, so it's allow the operator or easy access for the Christmas tree to operate his production, rather than doing the wellhead here on this ground. Okay, on the ground. So if you see here, this operator will not able or it will not be easy for him to operate the Christmas tree and the production valves and all of this stuff. That's why all of these is important. So you can consider the cellar function is to accommodate all the parts of wellhead before you install the Christmas tree. And this Christmas tree is the most famous part of the wellhead, and this is what the majority of people or the people in oil and gas knows about wellheads. They know only about Christmas tree. They don't know what is this part inside, down the ground level, okay, because it's not noticeable at all. Okay, so how we started our well, as we mentioned, we are running our conductor pipe. Okay, this one is conductor pipe. We are installed it here into the ground. How it will install? Usually it's a drivable. Okay, so it's hammered. We hammered this casing or conductor into the ground. Okay, until something called refusal point. When this conductor reaches the refusal point, خلاص I'll stop and I'll continue building or continue drilling my well and continue installing my next part of wellhead. So how does this look like? So after I install the conductor pipe, I'll go drilling, okay, same as the left hand side right here, okay. And you're having your POP and all of stuff, and you install your surface casing, okay, and take care of names because this surface casing is run after the conductor. So once you install your surface casing, which will cover the two-part zone, which is shallow depths is يعني up to 1,000 feet or 1,500 maximum in some cases. We install surface casing, then we will do a cement. Okay, as you know, once you cement your casing, you will remove this POP. As you see here on this top, this is the conductor, this is the surface casing. It's blue, the conductor casing. Once we finish the drilling and cement, we will cut the casing. We will cut the casing and we will install the first part of wellhead. Okay, this cut and this arrangement actually having some mathematical parts and some arrangement with rig side and with customer side. Okay, this is usually installed by field operation or specialist for wellhead. Okay, having some kind of arrangement to make sure that this kind of well of this part of wellhead installed properly. Okay, and there is some techniques while we are installing this. So once we cut the casing, the surface casing, we install the first part of wellhead, which is called the casing head house. Okay, there is another names for this casing head housing in the industry. What is this other name? It's called starting head, Braden head, section A. This is names when you hear it means it's the first part of wellhead. Okay, don't name the wellhead is all the part below the wellhead. Which section we are speaking about? So if we're speaking about section A, so we are speaking about this part, which is casing head house. Right. The function of this casing head housing, and this is, by the way, the real casing head housing on the right hand side. Usually it having side outlet like here, because you need, or like here, you need an access for this annulus, okay, to monitor the well and to make sure that it's sealing and so on. But how we are attaching or how we are connecting this casing head housing with the casing after we finish the surface casing, okay. Now, as you see, this well installed after the cement, because you are securing your well by this cement and you're removing your BOP to able to install this part. So we having different type of attaching or connecting this casing house, this casing head housing, okay, with the casing. Whether it will be welded, so you're having slip-on weld, okay, this is the name, SOW, this is slip-on weld, okay. Also, there is something called slip-on weld with O-ring in some cases, but this is the majority, because you welded this wellhead, okay, to the casing. This is how it's installed. You weld this case wellhead to the casing, or in some other application, you are connected this wellhead by threaded, as you see here. So this is different application rather than threaded part, okay? What else? We having some other application called connectors or slip lock or sure lock, okay? You are having a certain locking mechanism like you see here, okay? There is a kind of segment, Allen keys and this stuff to connect this casing head housing with the casing. Okay, so there is three main style. One, slip-on weld, so I'll be welded the casing head to the casing, or I threaded the casing head housing with the casing connections, or I cut the casing and it will be connected with another certain mechanism like slips, okay? Some segment will be goes around this casing and attached on it, okay? And there will be a certain Allen key or certain stud engaged here, so it will be connected. This kind of application usually, or this kind of connection usually is the most expensive part rather than this one, and this one. And this is used for offshore application, okay? Because in offshore application, if you are installing your wellhead, for example, in a platform, okay, you don't want to stop the production, okay? How come you will make a welding beside a produced well? So that's why you might install threaded wellhead. You might install slip lock or latch lock wellhead. What you see here, this is model LRC2 SH4 sure lock. This is a model. Okay, you have a lot of models in the industry based on the manufacturer which is manufacturing this equipment. Okay, but the methodology will be the same. It will be latch lock. You will not use any heat or any kind of thermal or kind of welding in this style or in this style. Once we install this part, okay, we are running. We will need to return to continue our drilling, our phases. We weld our well. And we weld our wellhead. So you changing now the phase. You need to put the part of wellhead which will be attached. So how this will become? So you will return back the POP on your casing head housing, okay? And you need to check the integrity of this POP. How you check this integrity of POP means that you need to test this rams, shear rams, pipe rams, and this stuff, okay? So there is a service tool called test plug, as you see it here. It will, where it will sit in, this test plug will sit into your wellhead. So it means that my wellhead will be having the place where the test plug will be sitting, so I can test this BOP, so I can continue the drilling. I make sure the integrity of this wellhead, of this BOP while drilling, so my drilling will be secure. There is no safety issue or well control issue and so on. So once we test this, we will need to install something called weir bushing. Okay, it comes from its name. Weir bushing is used to secure this this part of casing head housing, okay, until you install the next phase, because we will install some part inside here, okay. So how we install this weir bushing? So in a lot of cases, your test plug is named as a companion tool, or it make another function, and you are installing this weir bushing with your test plug, and you leave it here and you remove it. Why? Again, we put this weir bushing here in this area to secure this area while we are drilling for next phase, which is intermediate casing or production casing as per drilling program. Here you see how this test plug look like. So you having your test plug having a drill pipe connection usually, and that's why I'm telling you in the beginning, this is the main tubular, is one of the tubular which you need to understand, because when you are designing this POP, or you, test plug POP, or you're having this kind of test plug, it will be connected to the drill pipe. It will be run here in the casing housing by drill pipe. That's why you need to know what drill pipe is available. You will need crossover, you will need different connection, how it will be connected, how it will be installed, how it will be retrieved, and so on. So that's why it's very, very important. Where it will sit, again, it will sit here. There will be a shoulder, usually in majority of manufacturer 45 degree, to set, to make this test plug set in place. And this is the weir pushing. After you test the BOP, you set your weir pushing. So you having here your test plug, and it will run here. This is your weir pushing. You flip it upside down, and it have here something called snap latch. This is one style, by the way. There is many styles of this weir pushing based on the manufacturer. Again, on the industry, we having many manufacturers. We having Baker Hughes, you having Schlumberger, you having Halliburton, you having FMC, many manufacturers for this one. So the methodology is the same. you having a test plug, you having our bushing, regardless what is the mechanism to install this is here, it will be exist everywhere. Okay, you need to secure this part, okay, while you are drilling the next phase. This is how it look like in reality. This is, for example, the seals, which will make a seal while you are testing your POP, and this is the wear bushing itself, okay? And this one need to make sure it's compatible with each other. Each manufacturer has his own dimension and own sizes for this test plug and wear bushing. So what is the next part of the wellhead? Once we finish drilling, okay, of the second phase, the intermediate phase, okay, we run the casing, we do the cement and so on, okay, we remove the wear bushing so we can install something called casing hanger, like you see here on this photo on the right hand side, and you will see here a zoom where the casing head, okay, will be sitting on the same shoulder for the test plug, if you remember, okay, and here this seal will be sealing in this area, okay, in the bowl. That's why we were securing this area by wear bushing until we install this casing hanger. Okay, how we installing this casing hanger? Usually we hang the BOP like you see here, hang only the BOP, and we put this casing hanger from below here. It's open for two sides, as you see here. Okay, so you can open it two sides, and this is usual standard in majority of manufacturer. So whether it will be open in two sides like here, and then you connect it with a certain mechanism, or it will be opening hinged because it will be wrapped around the casing. So what is the function of this casing head hanger? Okay, it will be support the casing weight, not the total casing weight, because the main supporter of your casing weight will be the cement. You are installing this casing hanger after the cement operation. After you drill, you cement your casing, you install the casing, you cement your casing. So this cement will seal your annulus, it will accommodate also the weight of casing, the main supporter of the casing weight, and then you are installing your casing hanger part. Okay, so what is the main purposes of casing hanger? It's a support, seal, center. This is the main three aspects: support, seal, center. It will make support for casing weight. It will seal the annulus between the supporting string and the previous string. So each stage I install, it will make this sealing mechanism inside the wellhead. What else? Center the casing, because your well usually center your casing in the center. You put the casing hanger to center the well, and so on. And usually this casing hanger, this type of casing hanger which you are seeing here, okay, is a primary choice for all the operator or for the customer, for company and companies and so on. Okay, and in some application it's covering or it's replacing or emergency for something called mandrel hanger. This mandrel hanger, we mentioned about it into multi-boom. Okay, in some application we used some other hanger called mandrel hanger. This is a new technology of the wellhead. It's not famous for all the customer, but it's running everywhere right now. It's running in everywhere around the globe. Okay, you will hear about it. Maybe in another session we will cover this part as well. Okay, but we now covering this part for standard wellhead or the traditional wellhead as you see. So what you need also to understand for casing hanger, we having two main style or design of this casing hanger. Whether it will be automatic casing hanger like you see here on this photo on the left hand side, or manual slips like here. Okay, so automatic slips means once you put the weight of the casing on this hanger, this seal will be energized. Manual slips, when you put the casing hanger, when you put the casing weight on this hanger, this seal will not energize. It will need a manual application here or manual force to energize this kind of seal. Why? To make the seal for annulus between the supporting casing string and the previous casing string. This is how it's looked like in reality. This is a real photo for casing hanger. As you see, this is and this is open phase already. Okay, this is the seal in reality, or the backing. In some applications they call it backing, and this is what is makes sealing for this casing hanger. This is called segment. This is Powell. This is for lifting, and this is called the Allen key to open and close this kind of casing hanger around, and install it wrap around your casing. Right. What else? We will take casing spool and tubing spool. Okay, so we will start first about speaking about casing spool. So once now we install our intermediate casing, we will install about our casing hanger, and we will come to section B, usually called section B, and this is not must to install this casing spool. In some application, the will only consist in shallow depths, only consist from casing spool, casing head, and tubing spool. So if your well in 3 stages or 4 stages is depend on how deep you are drilling. So whatever we are seeing now is like a pretty standard application. You have conductor, we have surface casing connected to the casing spool. We have now intermediate casing connected, intermediate casing connecting with casing spool, as you see here, after you install your casing hanger. So this is your second phase. So once we install the casing hanger, this one installed here, and we will make a connection here. So you will connect this casing spool with this casing head, and it will make a seal here. How it will make a seal? It will make a seal with this part called secondary seal. So any type of casing spool or even tubing spool, as we will see, having a kind of sealing mechanism here in its bottom, not like the casing housing, if you remember. We have it, or the casing head housing, where in which is the first section. The first section is connected, whether it's welded, whether it's threaded, whether it's sure lock or slip lock or latch lock. Okay, this flange here will be connected to the casing head housing here, flange to flange. There is a stud here and the ring gasket here. I'll explain it by the end of the session. And how it will make sealing mechanism here? It will make sealing mechanism by a certain design of back off or sealing called secondary seal. We have many styles of this secondary seal, but there is main aspect, whether it will be elastomer, means rubber sealing, or metal seal, depend on the application which you are installing this casing spool. What else you need to understand here, that this casing spool, once it make a seal here, you isolate the previous section, you isolate the intermediate casing. So you can jump the pressure for the well. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that this casing spool in an application, it can be 5K here, 5K here. This flange. The top left side here is a real casing spool photo. Here you see this is a flanged part. Here is a flanged part. And also you having here annulus valve. Okay, valve which make you allow to install or inject anything into the well from here. Okay, so like you monitoring your pressures and this stuff from a valve here. Here it's not assembled. The valve is not assembled. But here you can see the valve is assembled. Right. This casing spool, this flange and this flange, usually it's the same rate. So it's a 5K casing spool, 5,000 PSI casing spool. Or because if it makes sealed here, you can jump. This part is 5K, this part is 10K. Or this flange is 5K, this part is 10K. This is based on the application as well. Okay, and this is, you need to put it in your consideration while you are select your wellhead or how you are selecting your wellhead. What else you need? We will cover it. Now we install the casing spool, so we will repeat again what we do similarly for the casing head housing, because we now will need to go to drill again for the new phase, or go deeper to install the production casing. So what I will need to do, because I remove the BOP, as you see here, I removed the BOP to install this one. I return back the BOP to drill. I return back this BOP to drill. When I return back this BOP, I need to do similar to what I do for casing head housing. I need to test. I need to run the wear bushing. Okay, similarly. So again, test plug to test the integrity of BOP. Wear bushing to secure this part until I install the next phase, or until I run the next phase. Okay. So when you put the BOP here, maybe the BOP has became higher rates because you go deeper. So you're using 10K BOP. Now you are using 15K or whatsoever. Okay, you need to understand this, because you usually you put like an adapter between the BOP and your wellhead to continue them. So now we put our wear pushing. So we go to drill, install the production casing, cement the casing, and install the next phase, as you see here on the top part in this photo. This is conductor, this is surface casing, this is intermediate casing, this is production casing. This is how it goes while you are in the well. And each one of these is attached on the top with your wellhead part, as you know. So now we reach to this one, production casing. Okay, how we will install? Similarly, we put the casing hanger. So we are hanging the BOP here, install the casing hanger again, and run similarly to install the tubing head spool. Once you install your casing hanger, you put the weight of the casing, you cut the casing, you install this tubing head spool similar to casing head spool. How I identify between the tubing head spool and casing head spool? So, because it's a pretty similar mechanism or pretty similar arrangement. However, the pressure rating is different, some features different. The main feature different here in the majority of application now is lockdown screw, something called lockdown screw. You will find it here. Okay, this is from reality. This is a casing cut, this is a casing spool, this is you installing your tubing spool, this is the valve, this is how you install it, this is called the stud, and this part will be installed here. And as you see here, in the bottom also there is a sealing mechanism, similar to the casing spool. There is a sealing mechanism to tubing spool. Different sealing mechanism. What you see here is not a standard sealing mechanism. This is one of the examples for sealing mechanism. But you identify the tubing head spool usually by this lockdown screw. And some high-tech and new technology now, there is something called the internal latch. So where we are not using this type of lockdown screw, but again, also this will be another topic, not on we are not covering in this topic. So tubing spool, whether we are installing the standard tubing spool or the tubing spool for dowel completion. Okay, you are installing here your tubing hanger in this area. So whether your tubing spool will accommodate one tubing hanger or dowel tubing hanger, how this will look like, I'll show you in next slide. So once you install your casing, your tubing head spool, you need to do similarly what we do we return BOP so we can install the completion phase. So we return back the BOP and we test the BOP. We're pushing, secure the well, and go to completion and tubing hanger. And this is how it looks like. So before we install the completion, we are removing the wear pushing, as you see here, and we install the completion assembly. We having many style and completion. If you covering the sessions, I saw that you covering a lot of sessions about the completion and this webinars. So we having many different styles for this completion. Also, it's not our topic today, but this is one of these as well. So once we install the completion string, by the end of the completion string, we will connect our tubing hanger here. Okay, this is the one which will produce. This is the third tubular, if you remember, okay, which we speak about, which will be connected to our tubing hanger. The tubing will be connected, our production tubing will be connected to the tubing hanger from bottom, okay, as you see here. And we install this tubing hanger in this place, and then we engage this lockdown screw and some application to seal here, and for some style of hanger, you seal here. And usually your tubing hanger having a profile here for something called back pressure valve. Okay, we will cover it in next slide. And this thread here is your landing thread for this tubing hanger. So once you are installed tubing hanger, it will, you almost finish your well. So if you will produce, we will continue how it will produce, but in some application, only the customer run, or only companies or production companies run tubing hanger and make DST or drill stem test or any other applications. They testing the wells, they do whatever applications they need without installing the Christmas tree. And some other applications, they run the Christmas tree. And this is what we will see in the next slide. So how is the tubing hanger look like? This is how the tubing hanger look like, and this is connecting with the tubing hanger, with the tubing string, as you see. Okay, so as we mentioned in the tubing spool, whether your tubing, whether you will install the tubing spool for single completion or for dual completion, like you see here on the right hand side. This is segmented tubing hanger, 2 parts. This is single completion, 1 part. You are single completion, you are producing from 1 bay zone. Dual completion, you are producing from two bay zone. Only will be this part, the tubing spool, need to have some adjustment or some arrangement to accommodate whether single or whether dual. As you see here, this is 1, this is 2. In some application also, in your tubing hanger, you will find control line like this. Okay, what is the purpose of this control line? To open something usually called subsurface safety valve, and this is used in offshore offshore application and or gas wells. Even in some other applications, this tubing hanger have more than 6 control line for smart completion. As I mentioned, there is too many style of completion. So that's why you have too many style for hanger to accommodate this requirement while you are installing your tubing hanger into your pump. What else you need to know? This tubing adapter or this this tubing head adapter or bonnet. It names bonnets in some application. Also in tubing hanger, you have sometimes you have elastomer seal, you have metal seal, and the neck can be elastomer seal, metal seal. It based on the application. Okay, TN tubing hanger elastomer seal. This extended neck, the hanger neck is extended. Here the hanger neck have metal seal. Here the hanger neck is dual. It's in the application. You have many manufacturer. You have, but the style is same. Control line to open completion subsurface safety valve or to open downhole gauges or to do anything will be same and exist everywhere on every application. So for the customer who continue with installing production Christmas tree, and so you will need to understand the next. So once we finish installing the tubing hanger, as you see, we install the tubing hanger through the POP. Once we install the tubing hanger, we need to remove or nipple down this POP and install our Christmas tree. How this will happen? We need to lock or block the well. Okay. Although you put any kind of plugs, wireline plugs, and all of this stuff through this tubing hanger, but you need to run this kind of back pressure valve, okay, or this kind of valve is called back pressure valve. What you see here, this is the standard one, okay, called H type. There is many style of also back pressure valves. There's K plug, F plug, and different type of this, but this is the major standard one. You will find in 90% of the application of back pressure valve, of tubing hanger. That's why the majority of manufacturers make this thread here for this back pressure valve. This back pressure valve is like a check valve, and usually it's in a closed position, as you see, because we install it to close here, so we can nipple down the POP, put our Christmas tree or the production tree into here. So this back pressure valve, as you see here, having a part here called poppet, and this poppet, once it have any pressure from top, it can be open, but from bottom it wouldn't open anyway. Okay, so you still can inject any fluid into the well while you are installing this back pressure. After you install back pressure valve, in some application you are using something called two-way check valve, which is a kind of plug like you see here. It's similar to back pressure valve, however this is a plug. It didn't allow the pressure or didn't allow the fluid whether from top or below. So it's like a plug. Why we are using it? Mainly to test the Christmas tree, to make sure it's the integrity. All the valve is in a good condition and can withstand with the pressure and so on. Okay, this is the main application of the back pressure valve and or two-way check valve. In this way. So from where we are installing? From here, from the Christmas tree. So while we are speaking about Christmas tree, how is this Christmas tree look like? This is the main part of Christmas tree or production Christmas tree. We having two main design, whether it will be stacked valve as you see here on this photo, valves, and connected with the wellhead, and this is here your wellhead. But this part, this style here, you see tubing head, your tree is above the ground level. That's why there is a ladder here, so the operator can be operate this one. In another application, this one again, as we mentioned, it will be here, down here. So only you see your Christmas tree. What you see here on the left side, it's also a Christmas tree, but it's called a solid block or composite block of tree. The main difference between this tree and this tree, that this tree, the valve is integrated on the body, on one body, like you see here. Okay, it's not separate valve like you see. This is valve connected with different flanges. Okay, no, this is here the valve inside. So this Christmas tree solid block or composite block used for gas wells, for high pressure application, and usually it's more costly than this valve trees. Okay. So this is high cost rather than this one. So once you install this one, خلاص, congratulations, your well is completed. You having here your section A, which is casing head. You have here section B, casing spool, connected to intermediate. You have here tubing spool, or section C, tubing head spool connected to production casing, and then you having your Christmas tree here. Okay. This is not a standard. Again, it depends on the customer or company or the operator company provide. Aramco, ADNOC, ANI, whoever. Okay, in some application you will find two valves, like you see here. Here is a valve, here is a valve, another valve. It depends. Okay, here is actuator valve. Here, it's have different arrangement, different style, different everything. But I need to understand about main of the Christmas tree. Any Christmas tree having the following: adapter, tubing head adapter, which is accommodate with the tubing hanger. Okay, so your neck of tubing hanger will be here. This tubing head adapter sometimes also use tubing bonnet. So the tubing head adapter is in some customer or some people in the industry called it bonnet as well. Okay, so they mean same part. But what you need to understand here, this is the low or the most lower valve here called lower master valve, LMV. And here upper master valve, which is your second valve, or the valve on the top of lower master valve. and this is your T. Here you're having wing valve or production valve. In another application, you have another valve called kill wing valve. In another application, some customer put here actuated valve, which is use another force to open or close this valve, actuated valve, and the choke, which is regulate the production. And you have here the swab valve on the top of your Christmas tree, and you have the tree cap. This tree cap, usually you open it and you install your back pressure valve, you install your two-way check valve to continue your operation. What you see here on the left-hand side, LMV, this kind of valves have the profile of this bonnet integrated directly. Okay, so this valve and this bonnet integrate both together. This is like a new application. Okay, so this valve is accommodating the hanger directly here for integrity issue and the new application and the high pressure application and so on. Mainly, one of the most famous companies use this kind of valve is Saudi Aramco, LMV. Okay, however, this is also called LMV, but this is a stacked valve. This tree usually is following API 6A, means that there is a certain methodology or certain requirement or certain standard need to follow to make sure your Christmas tree or even all the wellhead is meeting this standard. Okay, for wellhead it's called 6A. Okay, you can go, I Google it and go through API 6A. You will understand a lot what is the parts of wellhead moreover. Okay, speaking about Christmas tree, you can't not speak about the gate valve, which is the main part of your or the main part of the Christmas tree itself. The gate valve. The valves which we are speaking about is called gate valve, where this valve is the motion of it is straight line motion, like you see here, 90 degrees, straight line motion. Okay, what is the function of this valve? So the gate valve used to stop the fluid completely or open completely. It's not. You can't open this valve, or you can't operate. Not open. You can't operate this valve on a partially open. It make a weir in this part, the blue part, which is called gate. Okay, this part called gate. This part called seat, for example. This part, if you put it in halfway position, it will be weird. So the gate valve mainly to open or close. So how we control on the fluid or how we control on the production? By this kind of valve, chokes. Okay, so chokes, which is another part of our wellhead, as you see here. So you might using this choke and only in the evaluation phases or in drilling phases to evaluate or to evaluate the fluid and production and all of this stuff. Okay, so this choke valve used to regulate or throttle the fluid. There is two main type of this choke valves, which is positive or fixed chokes, where you are having here a specific pins with a specific size to have your flow through it. Okay, or adjustable choke, which usually you are having here a hand wheel to regulate the production when you are making the evaluation for the well. What is the optimum flow rate to produce? What is the minimum flow rate? What is the shuttle? You are using usually this kind of a choke valve, which is called adjustable choke. We will cover some other part or a quick part here called API flange. We see how our wellhead is connected. So we speak about flanged connection or section by section or stacked connection. So we can speak about this without speaking about API ring joint gasket, okay, or ring gasket, okay. You having this three main currently, this three main size or sorry types of gaskets, which is R, BX, or RX. R and RX usually replacing each other, but BX not replacing each other because this is fit in a different groove rather than this R and RX, like we will see in the next slide. So what is RX? What is the R-ring gasket? The R-ring gasket, as you see here, it's like a rounded shape gasket. Okay, this is a metal gasket. What is the function of this metal gasket here? We mentioned we put a wellhead on a wellhead or a BOP on a wellhead or whatsoever. How is this connected? How is this make seals? Okay, it's metal part here and metal part here. There is a certain mechanism to seal this two flanges or two part of metal here. You having this kind of gasket or metal gasket to put in a certain groove here. Okay, and then with a certain torque for this stud and nuts, this is called the stud and this is called nuts. You are torquing this stud for a certain torque here, giving a certain force, and when it takes a required force, this R gasket will be crushed because this kind of gasket is crushing one, and it will make a seal. Usually you will find a gap here, okay? A small gap between the two flanges where you are able to see this kind of flange. And your gasket will make a seal into your groove for the wellhead, okay? If you remember, here, this is a gasket, for example. This is a gasket. This is a gasket. This is a gasket. Okay. All flanges, even if we're having a POP here, when you connect this with this here, you're having a gasket as well. Okay. So the understanding of this gasket is very important. What you see here is a type of this gasket. It's not the R one, which I just referred to. Okay. The R is for a style. It's for low application. Okay, and it's crushed. It's energized by compression. Once you compress this stud and nuts, it's compressed. It will make a seal. Once you give a torque for this stud and nuts. What else? This RX gasket, which you will find also in our application. This gasket here, as you see here, it's not rounded. It have like a bevel part from inside, okay, and it's a little bit wider. It's not rounded or rectangle or something, okay. Here there is a bevel from inside here and here, and this is how it will seal. It will be also sealing by compression. Once you are installing here, it will be sealing by compression, and with a certain torque, it will be sealing, but it will assist. It will assist by pressure as well. So when you are pressurizing inside here, this ring gasket will be touched here, and it will make additional kind of sealing. It will be pressure energized seal ring, pressure energized. So once it crushed, so it's compressed by or it will be energized by compression, and it will be pressure energized. It will make additional seal or extra seal when it make a seal. So R and RX go for the groove of it called 6B. Okay, the groove, this groove called 6B. Both are replaceable. You can install R or RX. RX usually having here a higher gap rather than R. Both of them you usually used for low application pressure, 5K and so on, and it goes for 6B flanges. This is an API, by the way. This is not something for a manufacturer to design. It's follows the API standards. What else? The last gasket or the last type of gasket is BX ring gasket, and it's like a flat gasket like you see here. Okay, it have a rectangle cross section. Usually have a hole here to vent the pressure, because the kind of this gasket, the kind of BX gasket, is made something called face-to-face seal. There is no gap between flange, as you see here. There is no gap. Okay. You once you install, it's similar to the RX. It's once you are installed and connect or give a torque for this stud and nuts or for these nuts, it will be compressed or crushed, but also it will be pressure energized. But it's not replacing the other two because the groove is different. The groove here called 6BX, not 6B for R and RX. Okay. Also, once you pressurize your wellhead or you pressurize connection, it will make additional seal because it's assist or pressure energized by that. So this is how it will be look like when you connecting any two connection, you having your studs with a certain torque and so on. Here you having R or RX, where it's run in 6B and it's rated for 5K. Here rated for 20K, BX rated for 20K, which makes face-to-face sealing rated to 20K. And it make face-to-face seal here. And you will not able to see the gasket itself from or between the two flange. You still can see the R or RX, but you can't see the BX because of the groove. It's a different groove. With this said, I hope you are enjoyed the session. Hopefully I'm not being rushed. So I'm open to any question, and there will be like a kind of quiz for the session as well. Okay, so floor for you, Niha.
Thank you so much, engineer. It was a great presentation. Thank you so much for it. We have actually a lot of questions, so I'm just gonna pick like 2 or 3, and then if you're done, you can like let me know. So I'll start with the first one. How to ensure or stabilize our wellhead so it stands strongly on the ground if the ground is unconsolidated or not compacted or not strong enough to support the wellhead. Is there any specific treatment to install the wellhead in this type of location?
Look, this is planned by the construction, not the construction, the reservoir engineers actually, and the preparation. It happened in the preparation phase actually when we are planning to drill a well. Could be in some applications there is a kind of treatment, but instead of this, better to have a good point or good azimuth for starting the drilling. Okay, because at the end you don't want to have your wellhead go down into the what's called into the ground itself. Okay, you need to maintain your Christmas tree in an operation level. We're facing some troubleshooting in some application where after a while of production or while we are installing the wellhead, the whole wellhead stack is going down. Especially, for example, we facing this in delta drilling in Egypt, delta location drilling in Egypt. We're facing this kind of exercise. It's not too much, but it's a kind of a wellhead stack, whole wellhead stack going down. That's why you need to survey from the beginning.
Okay, great.
I hope I understand the question correctly, and the answer is correctly. Okay.
So we have another question about pipe corrosion. Someone is asking if he initially designed his surface facilities on a dry onshore area, but afterwards the weather changed and it became, too heavy. change to heavy rain or something, and then how they can prevent the pipe corrosion at this point.
No, usually you're having your stations in a kind of preparation, this kind of wellhead and kind of production, you are maintaining it in shades, or you are not maintaining it in shades. This is not the fact. The fact is that after you install your wellhead, okay, you need to maintain it well. You having something installed. You don't leave it to maintain it after 5 years or 2 years. This kind of wellhead need, like, you are babysitting them. Okay, you need to maintain it. You need to make sure that it's not exposed to unnormal condition, which you are not part of it. However, this kind of rain or whatever, this is not a big deal if you are anticipated the correct aspects, even for painting. The painting for wellhead having its own aspects or own selection criteria. The wellhead for offshore, for example, the painting for wellhead for offshore is different for the painting for wellhead for onshore. Okay, why? Because the weather is different. Okay, so you are putting this in consideration from the beginning, or the company or the production company from the beginning. Afterwards, they are paint their wellhead with a specific kind of painting. The manufacturer deliver with its own certain aspects or own certain specification, and by changing in weather or whatsoever, okay, the company or the company who owns this wellhead later on, they decide to paint with another painting specification the wellhead in good condition.
Okay. So we have like basic question. What is the objective of gaskets, and why don't we use rubber seals instead of the gaskets?
Why we don't use what?
Rubber seals. Rubber seals.
Rubber seals. Okay. The gasket, the metal to metal ring gaskets. Okay. This is made to seal between flanges. Okay. For wellhead, the ring gasket, API ring gasket, is used for one use only. This is as per API. So once you are using this kind of gasket, you can't use it again. Why? Because you put in your consideration, you put this gasket to withstand with the well for a certain time, for 1 year, 2 years, okay, until you come to make any workover operation or any recovery or whatsoever. Okay, this is the main function. However, this is API requirement as well. Metal to metal, you have to have a metal sealing mechanism. I didn't go deep actually into the ring gasket because it's have a lot of deeper application. However, in some application, just for the sake of the question, if you are testing, for example, in-house, or you are using this gasket for just testing something and removing, yes, there is some kind of elastomer gasket used, but for testing application, not for withstand wellhead in the field or in the production operation. Okay.
Yes. So we have another question. Before attaching the first casing head, how the conductor and the surfing casing are suspended.
Before what? Sorry.
Okay, let me repeat. So before attaching the first casing head, how the conductor and surface casing are suspended.
Okay, the conductor casing, as I mentioned, it's hammered into the ground. Okay, this is even made cellar. Before you dig the cellar, you install, in some application, you install the conductor. So the majority of application, you are drive or push the conductor casing. This is a very thick kind of pipes. Okay, it's around 1 inch usually, or 1 inch plus. installed by a kind of hammer into the ground, and it will reach to something called, as I mentioned, refusal point. Okay, so at a certain limit, it wouldn't be going deeper. So once you are installing this, plus you go to drill the next phase or to drill for surface casing. So you drill for surface casing through the conductor, and you stop on your shoe stopper or casing shoe point, and this is determined by the geologist and reservoir engineer and drilling engineer, and this is in a program. How the casing will be suspended by semen. We mentioned this, the main part or the main supporter for the casing is the semen. You semen the casing to make this casing attached to the hole itself, or to be supported with the hole. This is how it works. Once you finish casing a surface casing, we install by the casing slips and cut the casing and install the second phase of the wellhead. Any other questions?
Yeah, we have a lot actually, but this will be the last question. Okay. What if production is taken from two zones? The lower one is by tubing and the upper one is by casing. Then what will be installed instead of the dual tubing hanger?
Again, I didn't follow the...
Yeah, sure. So the production is taken from two zones. Okay. The lower one is by tubing and the upper one is by casing. Mm-hmm. Then what will be installed instead of the dual tubing hanger?
So if the customer decide to produce from the casing, okay, because in some applications there is a production casing customer used to produce from it, okay, but however this is not recommended by the manufacturing, because after a certain time it might be eroded, corroded, and so on, and the well intervention will be very high cost, because having a production from two zones with two hanger, okay, you still can remove the hanger from the well. Actually, this is a fantastic question. Yani, this is super. Yani, whoever sends this question, he have good imagination. And the application for dual completion, when you are installing or the segmented hanger, which we are showed in the slides, you having one for one zone and the other for the other zone. You have usually two string, one long, one short. So in case for some reason you need to make well intervention, you need to go to change something in completion or whatsoever, you will only remove the tubing hanger, okay, from the top. You remove the tubing hanger and you go make well intervention and you return back this tubing hanger. But if you having a troubles or an issues inside the casing, if you would like to produce from the casing, the well intervention will be like nightmare. Yani it wouldn't be this easy. That's why it depends on the customer philosophy or the operator company philosophy, how they need to intervene on or to go to intervention their well in future. Because bear in mind that when you put your wellhead, this is you install to stand still, and you put this in your criteria of selection from the beginning. So this well will be producing 1 year natural, and then it will be changing to ASP or semi-sub or progressive cavity, or whatever application you will apply. This is need to be put in consideration. Similarly, if you are installing single completion or double completion, this is need to be in the understanding from beginning. And usually, by the way, the dual well is, or the dual application, or you are producing from two zones, is shallow, not deeper. Also, some customer decide in some application, if they have 2 or 3 zones producing, they produce from a zone and they didn't perforate the other zone until they go to another intervention and they perforate the other one and they use single. Again, it's customer and production team and reservoir team philosophy while they are producing their flow. Okay, what else?
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for the great presentation and answering the question and everything. And I would like to say that everyone in the chat box and comment section are loving this presentation, and they want you back and they want to know more because they thought that the Wellhead system is quite easy, and they figured out that it's quite complicated. Actually, one of them is just saying Johannes hi. He's saying it's like a Lego, right?
Yeah, with that, yeah, exactly. It's like a Lego, yeah. Because with that said, yeah, and appreciated that the people understanding this. Just to let people understand this wellhead industry having a complete science behind it, and it's associated with all kind of the drilling process, as you see, drilling phase, production, well intervention, casing, completion program, liner hanger, even in some application, multiple, too many aspects. Again, it's your door. How you go to your home without know how your door open. Okay, this is the most important part of the wellhead. And thank you for this nice feedback.
Yeah, thank you so much again. It was great. I benefited a lot, and we would love to have you back, inshallah. Thank you everyone for joining today, and remember, tomorrow we have 2 lectures for you. One of them is Dr. Mustafa Arabi, and we know that you guys love him a lot, so I guess we'll see you tomorrow, and everyone have a good night. Thank you again.